Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics with your Proof Daily Countdown. Nakamigos continue to be on fire. Blur makes a bit of a move. Got a Cozomo exhibition with Beeple's work, a bunch of cool art sales. Let's get right into it. Starting with a quick market overview. Volumes were down for the second day in a row. Blur market share of 67%. Recently, they've been a bit higher, so this is a little bit low for that. The large cap index had another up day. I have that exclamation point there because it doesn't happen too often these days, but we got an up day, and it was largely because Coda was up 4%, VFriends had a big day, Azuki up a fair bit, Bored Apes up 2%, only a little bit of weakness in Moonbirds and Cool Cats. Mid-cap index basically flat, down a touch with a bunch of strength in Fluff and Quirkies and weakness in Degen Tunes, Cyber Brokers, Killabears, Genesis Creeps. I wanted to quickly touch on Nakamigos. Why? I keep talking about them because this is kind of where the action's at. I don't own any of them. None of that. This is just kind of crazy to see how much these are going up. They went from 0.2 yesterday to 0.45 ETH today. So just completely on fire. Why is this happening? Everyone's kind of got their own theories. I think simple art, 24 by 24 pixels, just like CryptoPunks. I think there's something there. I think like Degen's kind of like that. There's a bit of mystery here. People don't know who the artist is. People don't know who made it. People like mystery. There might be news coming. There are a lot of fun traits to collect. I think back to like when I collected like Dour Darsals and Quirkies and some of these that just have a lot of fun traits. For a holder, it can be fun to really accumulate a bunch of NFTs. They did a lot of influencer outreach. We talked about kind of how they gave 25 influencers their own personal one-of-one from the collection. And the last thing, I think this is super important. This is a momentum-based asset class. NFTs are totally momentum-based. And this is a momentum-based moment right now, with Blur and with all the trading going on. And I think that just creates a lot of tailwind. So that's kind of my diagnosis on what's going on there. Other Deed had another big day. You can see we're kind of creeping back up towards 2 ETH. Just continued kind of interest and excitement about the upcoming drop that was announced a couple days ago. In terms of art, there were 5 projects that did 10 ETH of volume or more. Chromie Squiggles led with 63. Let's talk about a few of those sales. That bottom right was a Chromie Squiggle Fuzzy, which sold for 13 WETH. On the upper left, we have a Harvest. This is a black background Harvest, sold for 8.1 ETH. The dark backgrounds have historically been the best-selling Harvest, so this is about 2x the floor price, something like that. Anticyclone here at 6.8 ETH. This is a little bit below the floor price, which is around 7.5. And then a Meridian at the bottom left sold for 7.5 ETH. Again, that was also below the floor price. Another project that just hasn't had a ton of volume lately. A couple things I wanted to talk about is that a lot of the themes, I've been doing this show since January, and a lot of the themes that were the talk of the moment, the new meta, we've seen really come unwound. I mean, here you can see memes by 6529, is down, let's do it, add maybe like 70% since the peak, just a ton of weakness, and kind of a lot of that FOMO seems to have died down as the supply has gotten higher and higher, which has been a tough combination. Where the value has stayed has been in those first 10 cards. You can see that blue section at the bottom, is certainly bigger than most of the others. Another theme, brain drops, just at the beginning of March, brain drops was up 4 to 5x year to date. And we've seen a lot of that come unwound, less than 2x now, as a lot of these collections, a lot of the attention there has just moved elsewhere and people have taken profits. Second thing I want to talk about, Blur extends its period of double points. Here is the tweet from Blur. They said they're working on something new. They wanted to launch it on April 1st, but it's taking longer to build than they thought. So as a constellation, bidding and listing points for season 2 will remain doubled until May 1st. Okay, and I think there are a lot of kind of misinterpretations about this announcement. People were very upset, and I think that what people don't realize is that they were never going to end their incentives. They're going to keep dropping Blur token to people who do the things they want. They just had this beginning period where it was a 2x points, and then it was meant to be 1x for the rest of the season. And what they're saying here is they're going to extend that for 1 more month. I'll talk a little bit later about what that means and who it affects. Second thing, what are they working on? I have no idea, but one thought is maybe they want to work on trait-based bids. Currently, like if you want to go and bid for a brain drop, for example, you have to bid on the whole floor of all of brain drops. So maybe they want to make it so you can bid on specific projects. So it's not just the floor that is getting traded around. Obviously with Moonbirds, Azuki, Bored Apes, all the Blur bidding, almost all the Blur volume is with floors. So maybe they want to start allowing you to put in bids and competitive bids on other and Grail tiers. I don't know. Just one potential speculation for what maybe they're working on. The other thing is that, I'll show you this in a second, incentives are probably going to last, they say, until 2027. Now they're going to die down a little bit, and there's probably just going to be maybe 1 or 2% of the price of the NFT you're paying. And right now they're really elevated, but they are going to remain for a very long time. This is the chart they have shown us, and that dark orange section is the community's pool of the Blur token. And what you can see is it continues to grow. And when it grows, that means they're giving community token in exchange for the things they incentivize. And you can see it goes all the way until 2027. It just, the pace goes down slowly over time. So they are going to keep delivering it. I wanted to talk about a few of the reactions. I generally don't like to use bad words on this show. I try to keep it clean, but I figured I'd show this one. We've talked about Machi Big Brother a lot. His response, clear. You can see it here. He just said, fuck. That was his response to this announcement. And I think the people who get hurt the most by this announcement are people like Machi. Why is it? They did not grow the pool of Blur token. Like, it's not like they're giving away more Blur token. It's just they originally doubled the amount of token you got for the first month. Now they're saying you get double the amount for the first and second month as a percentage of the overall pool. So when it was only the first month that was getting double, that first month meant a lot more. So let's say there were 4 periods, it was 40% of the pool. Now, if there are 2 periods that have that much token, that first period has a fair bit less. Okay, just a lower percentage of the overall pool. For someone like Machi, who dominated that first period, he wanted that to be the most valuable. And now they're kind of diluting that over 2 months. And I think that's why some of the kind of like high intensity airdrop farmers are a little disappointed, because they had got such a big percentage of the first section. They don't want the second section to be worth quite as much. Again, as we've talked about, Machi has lost a ton of ETH trying to accumulate Blur points. So this matters a lot for him. A second thing, Punks OTC, we've talked about Punks OTC, we've talked about Punks. He said, I bought a dozen more Punks in response to this. He's been kind of bullish on the idea that airdrop farming and that what's happening on Blur creates more liquidity, tends to be positive for Punks overall. I dug a little bit deeper into this, and here's a chart. That blue line shows Punks OTC's overall bag and the amount of Punks he owns relative to when the season began. You can see he tweeted that he had bought these Punks right after he had bought a bunch of them. But since then, which was less than 24 hours ago, he sold those all off. So, again, when you're seeing people, when you're seeing traders talk about what they buy, always beware a little bit. And don't necessarily think this is some long-term bullish thing, because he bought those, announced it on Twitter, sold them very shortly after. One other thing that happened was that Jack Butcher went out to the community and said, should we keep Blur bids on or off? And what you can see here is that the community, by and large, said, let's turn them off. Which I just thought was kind of an interesting response. I think you're starting to see a lot of community members get a little bit fed up with Blur. NFT prices have gone down, could be a whole host of reasons, but I think some people are rightly or wrongly blaming Blur a little bit. The other thing that I noticed, and this is kind of mind-boggling, I would encourage all of you to go check this out, because like I said, it was very surprising to me. If you look at their tweet with this announcement, all the comments, I'd say probably 90% were extremely negative. And my sense from that is just a lot of community members are kind of frustrated. They don't feel like Blur has helped them necessarily. They feel like it's kind of helped traders or help people who are unloading NFTs. But for people who hold and want to be in this game for a while, it hasn't been necessarily a great thing. So you saw a lot of frustration there. I didn't realize that. I thought people tend to like Blur just based on my interaction with folks. So I sent out a survey and I said, do you think Blur has been a positive or negative? And you can see here that about 60% said they think it's been a net negative. About 18% said it's a positive. The rest were neutral. So kind of interesting to see. What I always say is you can't get mad at the market. You can just hope to understand it. This is clearly something that is in this world right now, and something that is having an impact. And that's kind of all I got to say about that for now. Third thing to talk about, Cozomo launches a Beeple exhibition. This is a pretty short story, but I just thought this was kind of cool. Cozomo de Medici basically said here that he is announcing a partnership with W1 Curates, and they're creating a bunch of exhibitions, but they're starting with a 3-week exhibition of work of Beeple that will be shown in London, and they're having a VIP dinner that you can sign up for if you want to go. Spots are limited, but I believe that's in the beginning of April. So that was pretty cool. As we know, Cozomo made a huge donation of a lot of his Grail NFTs to the LACMA, the Los Angeles Contemporary Museum of Art. Clearly just someone who wants to grow the space, who he's very generous, and I thought it was cool that he's just doing all these things to expand the footprint of the space. Here is the flyer that they put for it, inviting people to that dinner if you want to sign up, as well as the 3-week exhibition. A little bit more, Cozomo says it is his mission to put digital art in every home. This will be the first of many exhibitions, so we'll see more of these from him over time. It's a 3-week exhibition. He also says that he personally has collected a bunch of new Beeple work, and he will be revealing that once this exhibition starts. He also says there are three-story screens, so really cool ways to display NFTs that will be on display at this event. Last thing to talk about, a few notable sales. Back to Beeple, this piece called Politics is BS. It is a 1 out of 100 edition. So for 71.5 ETH, we're in a world where prices tend to be going down right now, but this was one of the higher prices paid for it. If you look at the last 4 to 5 sales of this edition, the price has been a bit lower. So cool to see that upsale for Beeple. This piece, or not a piece, this is a NFT, I guess a PFP, an Alien Captain. Alien is the top tier of Captainz, and this one sold for 33.33 ETH. This is the most rare Captain, and this is the highest price paid yet for a Captain. So cool to see that. Always see a Captainz, I think, in this world where projects have really been coming down. It's fun to see projects like Captainz that have held their floor pretty well. So nice to see a grail sale there as well. Here's a piece called Bangers and Crash by XCOPY. This is a 1 out of 25 edition, and it sold for 12.5 ETH. That is at the very low end of the range for where this price is sold. I checked if you look at the prior sales of this edition, and there hasn't been a sale at this price in over 400 days. So really low. Now, I think what happened here is that someone who really needed liquidity came and listed. The reason I say that is that it sold in less than 20 minutes, which is extremely rare on known origin. So pretty low price here. And I think it was because someone wanted liquidity. Ended up being a great sale for the buyer. So congrats to him. Congrats to the seller as well as XCOPY. And then I want to talk about one artist on Super Rare with a pretty cool sale here. This piece is called The Ebb and Flow of Two Lovers by Giant Swan. Piece sold for 5 ETH. Pretty interesting work there. He said in a tweet here, this has been one of those weeks where he's pushed himself, where he tested himself in all aspects of his life, physically, mentally, the whole lot, and really gave thanks to the person who bid on this piece, bid for 5 ETH, ended up winning the auction. So always love to see it when the artists kind of thank the collectors on Twitter in that public space. Here's a little bit about the artist Giant Swan. He says he is equal parts sculptor, digital artist, and world builder, currently existing between the cross-section of art scenes, both digital and traditional. A bunch of his other top sales here. He's had sales at 9, 10, 15 ETH. So pretty cool to see that. Does a lot of VR work. This sale at 5 ETH, a little bit below that, but still great sale for a one-of-one artist. So congrats to him. That's all from me. I hope you liked the show. If you did like it below. That helps us. Subscribe to our channel, comment. We have a Telegram group where we announce, just a channel, but we announce every single time we launch the show. You can click the link and join that Telegram group in the show notes below. I hope you have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow and every weekday with another show. Talk to you soon.